Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Jessie, and in today's video I would suggest grabbing yourself a water or something to drink because I'm gonna need one. Today's video I want to talk about relationships, and I thought that what I would do is turn it into a mini series of videos, only because with relationships, there are so many different types and there's so many different aspects of relationships. I don't think that it would be reasonable to try to put them all in one bucket, so to speak. So, and as I always say in all of my videos, I am not a professional in anything other than my own experience, and that's what I hope to share with you is my experiences and my perspective on things, so that hopefully I can, I don't know, maybe inspire at least one person and offer perhaps a different perspective, a way of looking at things that has not been considered up until this point. So I thought what I would do to start off this little mini series is start with the relationship that we have with ourselves. And I know it is corny to talk about having a relationship with yourself, but I think it's important nonetheless. Because for me, it wasn't even an acknowledgement, for quite some time that I even had a relationship with myself. It was just not something that you think about. But yeah, we all have a relationship with ourselves, whether we acknowledge it or not. And the good thing about it is that if we can get to a point where we acknowledge that yes, we have a relationship with ourselves, we can kind of point it in a direction that is beneficial for ourselves, and that's empowering if you choose to view it that way and utilize, certain skill sets and whatnot, and you do some self-development. It can be very beneficial for you. At least it has been for myself. Growing up, I didn't understand a whole lot about self-care, let alone this idea of having a relationship with myself. I wasn't given the tools to have great self-esteem. And I don't think that was done deliberately. I think that my guardian just didn't have the know-how to provide an environment that was enriching for building and cultivating self-esteem. So, and as a teenager and a young adult, you don't. The idea of having a relationship with yourself just it was non-existent for me, and I actually gained conscious awareness of that at the conclusion of my previous relationship. And my previous relationship, it was a painful ending, and at the end of it, I had made the conscious decision to not get into another relationship until I healed completely, which I don't think is something that I have ever done on a conscious level. Excuse me. Need to readjust the seating here. But I don't think that up until that point I had acknowledged, I don't think I had acknowledged much about or processed how I was feeling at the end of a relationship until my last one ended. I made the conscious decision and I said, I'm not getting into another relationship until I'm well emotionally, because I did not want to bring toxic emotions into a new relationship. And it wasn't even toxic emotions from my ex-boyfriend. It was toxic emotions from myself, things that I was holding on to. I didn't want to bring any of that into a new relationship because I didn't want there to be comparisons and frustrations and angers and things that truly would have nothing to do at the core surface with a current relationship. I needed to work through the one that had ended, and it took a long time before I felt safe emotionally enough to get into or to attempt to get into a new relationship. It took about 11 years, I think. The benefit of doing that, though, was I gained a whole lot of perspective, and I think I gained a little bit of relationship maturity in that I was able to look at my previous relationship in a manner that I don't think I would have been able to had I jumped right back into a relationship. I was seeing a lot of the things that people were telling me about that was going on that I was just unaware of, because I it's not that I was in denial, but because I was in the middle of the relationship, I couldn't see things from their perspective until the relationship ended. And then I was like, oh yeah, there it is. you know, and that's okay, because I've learned a lot from the last relationship. I learned what I don't want, but more importantly, I gained a perspective on what I need in a relationship. And I learned a lot about myself, because I did a lot of soul searching, and I said, okay, what is it about my last relationship that was frustrating for me, and what caused the frustration? It had much more to do with more than a difference of perspective or understanding with the significant other. It had there were core things about myself. Like, my love language is acts of service, and sometimes those acts of service weren't acknowledged, and that wasn't his fault. That I didn't even know that was my love language. And if there's something that I need, if I can't identify it for myself, why is it fair for me to anticipate that someone else would be able to identify it? So I learned a lot about my love language. I learned a lot about what makes me happy, and I learned how to honor that, which is important, because one of my biggest hang-ups in previous relationships is that because my love language is acts of service, when I get into a relationship, I throw myself in it wholeheartedly. And the downside of doing that is that I can lose myself in that person. I lose sight of who I am as an individual. I get so enthralled and wrapped up into trying to please this other person that I lose sight of what it is I need and what it is that really makes me happy. Like, not just surface happy, not materialistically, but what is it that I need? What will resonate with my soul to create this happiness that just flows out of me, So, taking the hiatus off of a relationship really helped me gain perspective in that, and I think it helped me mature as a human being as well. So I'm grateful for that. Also, beyond that, I had to learn, okay, well, if you're not in a relationship, then you're stuck with you. You've got to learn how to take care of yourself. You've got to learn how to make yourself happy. What makes me tick? Well, I love to read. Don't get me wrong, I love audiobooks, but there's something about holding a physical book that is just, I really enjoy being able to hold a physical book and read it. I have very specific tastes in books, though, that I like to read, and I explored some of that, and I started to regain confidence in creative writing again, and I did a lot of self-discovery in that time and figuring out what it is I love and what it is I'm interested in, and I just kind of ran with it, and I let it become part of, I let that part of who I am grow and kind of develop, and now I'm able to share that with not just my current significant other, but with my family, and I don't have to hide it, and that's something that I haven't had in a long, long time, and I will go into reasons for that in another video. But the relationship that you have with yourself is so important. Now, but that's about taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally. Beyond that, I had to learn, and I'm still learning, and the reality of it is this. Look, taking care of myself physically, it's obvious. You get sick, you go to the doctor. I did the basics. I've always done the basics. You take a shower, you wash your hair, hygiene, kind of thing. But beyond that, I had, and I still have no clue. I'm still learning, right? I'm still developing and cultivating new habits for self-care. I went through a very long period in my life where, because of circumstances, I wasn't taking good care of my teeth because I was homeless and because I didn't know how, and because, there are a lot of variations, right? The whole point is that there are many, many things that I didn't do for many years. Physical therapy, once you hit adulthood, it's really hard to get physical therapy. As a physically challenged adult, I found it extremely challenging. So in recent years, I have had to learn what it means to physically take care of myself, because there's no manual, I have the basics down. You're hungry, you eat, you take a shower, you wash your hair, you brush your teeth, but there was no real consistent things implanted as far as how to take care of yourself, how to eat properly, um, and what does that look like, especially when you're physically challenged. Because when you're physically challenged, and I don't know how many people realize this, but when you're physically challenged, not only do you have to do the everyday live person things, beyond brushing your hair, brushing your teeth, and getting dressed, and taking a bath every once in a while. There's other concerns when you're physically challenged. Mobility is important for every living being, but when you're physically challenged and you have to sit in a chair all the time, there's the concerns of, pressure sores and skin breakdown, or how are you going to manage when you're sitting on a chair that has black canvas on it, in the summertime. And then for some people, there's, bladder control issues and incontinence issues in general. And there's just a whole other slew of things that need to be taken into consideration that aren't taught normally. At least I was not taught. I can't speak for other people, but I know in health class they would teach us something about hygiene, but nobody ever touched on what that looked like specifically when you're physically challenged, and the things that you need to look for when you're physically challenged. And I will address some of those again later in another video, perhaps, because I think that's a topic in itself. Things that you just don't think about, when you're physically challenged, or the average person doesn't think about. If you're not a parent of someone who's physically challenged, or you're not in a direct relationship with somebody who is physically challenged, there's a lot of things that can go that aren't considered on the level that's needed to be considered when you're physically challenged. The other thing that I learned, I don't want to get off topic, so I'm trying to stay on topic here. The other thing, as far as building a relationship with myself, is, okay, so I had to get comfortable with being by myself and being okay. When I say by myself, I mean being in a relationship with myself, and understanding who I was as an individual, and the things that I love, and what resonates with my soul, so that my soul can be as happy as it can be most days. The other thing too is I needed to I've always had a really light perspective on being physically challenged. I have known many people on all different stages of life who have been physically challenged on different levels, different inabilities, and different challenges. And some have had amazing perspectives and amazing outlooks on life, and others, for lack of a better word, are just bitter. And and I don't judge. I'm not them, so I don't judge. But I have always been very grateful that I have the perspective that I have. And I'll tell you what that perspective is. That perspective is the perspective of, yes, I am physically challenged. Yes, there are some days or certain situations when it downright sucks. But you know what? It's okay. I mean, I have moments where I'm sad and I'm frustrated, or I'm pissed off. And the one thing I can honestly say is that I've never been in a situation where I want to throw my hands up and just completely give up. And I'm very, very grateful for that, because I know that there are some people out there that are struggling, and they want to give up and throw their hands up and say, somebody else take care of this, somebody else do this. And I feel for you. I don't judge you. I feel for you, and I know the struggle. But for myself, the struggle is real, and it is challenging. My perspective is, if I can make it through whatever this moment is handing me, whatever this challenge is, whether it's a physical illness, or I've had a mistransfer, because that happens, or if I'm just, in pain and I have to move through whatever, or I'm dealing with, having to get something approved so that I can have equipment that I need. All of these situations can cause frustration and anger and irritation, because why is it always so challenging? But I can honestly say that I've never wanted to throw my hands up and give up. What it has given me is the ability to say, okay, sometimes I need to walk away, so to speak, or roll away for a certain period of time to kind of give myself a breather from the situation and come back to it, looking at it from a different viewpoint or a different perspective, or considering a new plan of action to move forward. I don't give up very easily. I respect certain boundaries. I don't often accept limitations, because a limitation is only a limitation until somebody can overcome it. And if I get to be the person to overcome it, then great. Then I grow and I learn, and I can share that with other people. Relationship with myself comes with a mindset. You have to have awareness of your mindset too, because I think that will determine a lot of the outcomes of things that we experience. We can't always control the experiences. We can prepare for them as best we can. But I think more important than the outcome of an experience is how you choose to react once something has happened. So instead of being pissed off and frustrated that I've fallen again, or I've had a mistransfer — I never say fall because it's a mistransfer. But instead of being pissed off and frustrated about it, I usually call up my son-in-law. Well, I'm on the floor again. Can you come help me out here? And, they'll come help me. The other thing too is sometimes it's really simple things. Like every once in a while, if you know me, if you've known me for a while, you know that every once in a while I'll refer to myself as a gimp, or being a gimp. And a lot of people tend to take that out of context, and they're like, well, don't refer to yourself as a gimp. Don't use that word, because it's not, it doesn't sound positive, or whatever the hang up is with it. And what you don't understand is that it's not a self-esteem thing for me. When I refer, first of all, I will never refer to someone I don't know as a gimp, because I don't know what their viewpoint is on things. But for myself, when I refer to myself as a gimp, it's not meant as an insult, and it's never towards anyone else. But for me, sometimes when you can do stuff like that, and you can do light banter with other people, it's a way of sometimes making light of the heavy can make the load easier to carry. And that's what light banter with my kids, because me and my kids, well, I say light banter in quotations because my kids and I, we have bantering moments around the house. And if you're kind of an outsider, or if you're new to the group, a lot of people aren't going to understand it, and they're like, well, that's kind of harsh, that sounds harsh. But no, it's just, it's making light of the heavy, because it makes the load easier to carry. That's all that is. And I think all of those things are key to, because, and this is why the relationship with yourself should come first, not only as a video, but generally speaking, because the relationship you have with yourself will kind of trickle down into all of the other relationships that you have with other people in your life, whether they be friends, family, or intimate relationships, in relationships with significant others. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of the whole thing, for myself. I had to learn, first of all, where I was mentally and emotionally. And I had to learn how to honor who I am as a person, what things resonate with my soul, what things truly bring me joy and happiness that go so far further than materialistic things. Excuse me, gotta adjust again. Also, then you go into, okay, well, XYZ resonates with me, and this is what makes me happy. And then you sit with it for a while and really feel it and test it out. Once I figured that out, then it was, okay, well, mentally and emotionally, I feel okay, and figuring out coping mechanisms for those frustrating moments. What works to help get me through that. And sometimes that's, making light of the heavy to make the load easier to carry, or writing. Writing really, really helps me. And just having somebody to talk to and just say, you know what, this moment really freaking sucked, but it's one moment within the day, or it's, whatever's going on with me, even if it's an illness or an injury, and it's going to take me a little bit to heal. I try not to let that be the focus of my entire day. And every once in a while, I'm not perfect, so every once in a while I have to have someone kind of pull me out and go, you need to just relax and kind of get recentered and really look at things again. And I have somebody who does that for me, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you for keeping me grounded, Carlos. I really appreciate that. And learning to just enjoy the physical act of self-care, and what it's like today to be able to brush my teeth and create that habit. And it sounds silly. I'm in my 50s, and I had to create a habit of brushing my teeth every single day, because that's just a habit that I didn't have growing up, or my lifestyle at one point. Or I shouldn't say lifestyle, life circumstances did not allow me to do on the regular. So creating these habits and just being in that moment, right? And really kind of feeling it. And I know that sounds hippy dippy or whatever, but as I get older, so what? It sounds hippy dippy, but it resonates with me to just be able to sit in the moment and to just feel the experience sometimes, feel the experience of of taking care of yourself, like really, really feeling, the warm water over your body when you're taking a shower, or the act of brushing your teeth, and really, and I know that sounds weird, but I think that these are all acts that we take advantage of, we take for granted because they're so quote unquote common. But for me, when they weren't common, they were things that I could not enjoy or appreciate to the level that I can today. And so maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just appreciate it more because I know what it's like to not be able to have those moments where you can appreciate them. So yeah, I think the relationship I have with myself is very vital in how it will affect and trickle down into all of the other relationships that I have with people, be them friends, family, significant other, even with my pets, because the better I feel, the better I can feel mentally, emotionally, and physically. All of that goes out into my universe and as energy, and it affects everything. It affects my family, it affects my pets, it affects, even plants. So, and I know again with the hippy dippy, but I don't care because it's what resonates with my soul today. So the key point, because now I feel like I'm rattling on, the key point here is take a look at the relationship you have with yourself first, and try to build on that, and just take small steps, and see if you can find enjoyment in tiny little things. And you know what? If you all would do me a favor and tell me what you're doing today to take care of yourself, put it in the comments down below. I would love to know what you all are doing to take care of yourself. I do many things. One of the things that I do is get up at 5 a.m. on most mornings when I'm feeling good. And I know that sounds crazy. It's like, why would you get up at 5 a.m.? But there's something very relaxing to me to get up before everyone else in the house and before the world gets going, and just being able to start my day slowly. So getting up at 5 a.m. has allowed me to start my day nice and slow, and and not feel so rushed. I really enjoy it. A lot goes into that. Maybe I'll talk about that in a different video at some point, but not today. But yeah, comment down below what you do to take care of yourself and what new systems you'd like to put in place to help you take care of yourself and to create a better relationship with yourself. I would really love to know. That could be writing, that could be like reading books, even if it's just something to bring you a little bit of joy in your day, reading books. I love books. Anyway, I'm gonna go because I feel like I feel like I'm just prattling on right now. I feel like, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna drink some water and get ready for bed. Thank you all so much for being here. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you join me for my next video. I think my next video is going to be family relationships or general public. I don't know. Let me know which one you want to hear about first. Relationships with the family, or relationships out, or how you interact with the public, because I think in itself. That is a relationship. How you interact with the public, also very important. So, let me know what you want to see next in a video, and also comment what you're doing to take care of yourself today. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me, and I'm gonna go now. Bye bye.